Hello lovelies, and welcome to what I think is the first art journal page I've done in a while. This is my fabulous op shop vintage Hollywood find that I found a couple of years ago, maybe last year, and I just love the size and everything about it. It does have glossy paper, but I make do. I just really love it as an altered journal. So I am using my Dina gloss sprays. Now, I'm limited for colours because when I was doing this page, I was actually making some ATCs as well for an online swap. And I figured while I had everything out, I'd, use them in my art journal as well. Problem is I'm limited for colours because my sprayers don't work very well. It works fine on this colour because this was a brand new one that I hadn't opened yet. I have had my gloss sprays for a while and all of the sprayers are clogged. So like I said, Ruby just got out of the bath and now she's running away from her father. Can you hear? She likes to do a nudie run around the house. So, I'm limited for colours that I can spray. I can buy some new sprays, which I think I will do, but I did buy some droppers so I could just sort of drop them on the page. Yeah, like I was saying, I've got some droppers. Here we go, these ones so I can drop it on the page and I can tip it on the page, but I really do like to use them as sprays. So I'm going to buy some more sprayers so I can use them again. I've just got to start using my mixed media stuff more often. Now, it is not the best footage because I did this at night, so I have my ring light above me, but this is a gloss book with gloss sprays. So it's reflecting that light back beautifully. So the picture I've taken that you'll see at the end, you'll be able to see the page much better. But right now you can see where that gloss is, in all those little warpy parts. This page does warp a lot. This entire book warps a lot because it is not mixed media paper. It is glossy magazine type paper. But I just love it as an altered book. I love the size. I love everything about it. So I just went around the edges with some black paint just to give it a bit of a border. And now I'm going to do some reverse stenciling. So this is where you put some paint down, put a stencil on top, and then wipe through the stencil. This was not the best choice in stencil for it. I love this stencil, but because it is very fine, it moved a lot. So it was very hard to take off as much paint as I usually can do with this technique, especially because I've got gloss on the back. This would take off a lot of that paint perfectly. But it does the job. It's bringing in some white and giving me some contrast in all of that dark background. And yeah, I just put some paint down while the paint is wet. You just put your stencil down and wipe off some of that paint with a wet one or a paper towel even, but I find wet wipes work better. Coming in with another, I think this is Night. Oh, I love Night. It's one of my favorites, but it is almost empty. And then I'm going to dry this. I do dry it with a heat gun. This is a bit later after I've let it dry. So you can see that gesso or that white has absorbed some of the purple behind it. Don't hate it at all, but yeah, it's not as white as it wasn't originally. I do cut out all the drying time so you don't have to watch that. And as I was saying, I was making this in between making another project. While one was drying, I was moving on to the other. It's actually a fun way to do it, I do have to admit. It did also mean I was using a lot of similar products. The reason I had this tissue paper out was because I had used it in the previous project, and I thought it would be good to use it on this one for my focal image. So I've got out one of my bigger Dina Wakley face stamps. I do love this stamp. And I'm going to, what I remembered is in the earlier packets of the Dina Wakley collage paper, there were some blanks in there so you could stamp your own images. And that's what I decided to do on my first project, which you probably won't see till next month because they're ATCs for a swap. And I don't want to post that video until everyone has received their ATCs. But yeah, I was doing the ATCs and stamping some images on some tissue paper, and then I decided to use the same technique on this page here. So I'm using some gel medium just to adhere that down. With gel medium and collage paper, it does help it go a little translucent when you apply it. Most of the time it goes really translucent. Never really does that fully for me. But as you can see, my background is coming through. I'm actually going to do something about that because I wasn't a fan. Obviously, we don't like putting our focal image in the middle of a page and having it just float there. So I had intended to sort of extend the shoulders down just to ground it to the bottom of the page. But then I have the issue where the face has that wider background and the neck doesn't. So I decided to come in with some gesso just to sort of extend that white down to the neck so it looks like one piece. But then as I'm looking at it, I didn't like it. And then I did something that I love. So I then went in with the gesso over the tissue paper of the image and just sort of added some gesso to bits and pieces here and there and smooshed it out. So it looks like the whole thing has sort of been painted. So it doesn't look like I've stuck down a floating head in the middle of my page. And I do love how this turns out. It sort of gives the illusion that I've sort of drawn it or painted it on there. It gives the illusion that it's, you know, not a stuck down image, which is really great, especially when I have actually had to extend down with the neck. I didn't want to push my luck with the hair because I'm not good with faces and images and that. So I thought this was pretty nifty and pretty clever for me to just by adding a bit of white gesso to the focal image, to the face, it sort of blended in the neck and the whole image looked much more grounded. So I did love that. Then I was going through my Dina Wakley collage papers, can you tell? And I remembered that I had these, the ledger words, the ledger pages that she brought out a couple of releases back. And they have some really great quotes on them. And I was using these in my ATCs and I decided to stick one on here as a quote up the top there. I had a lot of negative space up the top that I wanted to fill in. I didn't want to put the quote down by my focal image. I wanted to fill in some more space up the top here. So that's what I've done with my quote. And yeah, I have to admit, considering I didn't intend to start out doing an art journal page, I like how it came together. I do love the finished result. It's been a while since I've done an art journal page, so I was happy to get back into my art journal, even if it was just using products that I was using for another project. It was fun to get back in my art journal. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and I'll be back real soon with a new one. Bye for now.